You need to hear this today. You cannot control other people. I know you want to. I know deep inside you wish they would act a certain way, think a certain way, treat you the way you treat them, and understand you the way you understand them. But here's the truth: the tighter you try to grip onto people, the faster they slip away. The more you try to force, the more resistance you create. Life has already taught you this, hasn't it? Every time you tried to push someone into being who you thought they should be, they either pulled away or resented you for it. And yet we still try. We do it because control feels safe. If we can get people to behave the way we want, then maybe we won't get hurt. Maybe we won't be disappointed. Maybe life will finally stop surprising us. But control is a lie. Control is just fear dressed up in a nice suit. It tricks you into thinking you're protecting yourself when really you're building a prison for yourself. Because while you're busy managing everyone else's actions, you're losing the one thing you can actually manage: your own peace, your own response, your own life. Think about how much energy you waste trying to get someone to text you back faster, to love you harder, to respect you more, to think like you, or to change their habits. You replay conversations in your head, rewriting them as if that would change what they said. You craft strategies on how to make them do better. But here's the thing: people are not projects. They're not puzzles for you to solve. They are free human beings who will do what they choose to do, whether you like it or not. And that's not bad news. It's freedom. Because when you finally stop trying to control them, you get your power back. You stop running around with invisible strings in your hands, trying to puppeteer people who don't even realize you're pulling. You put those strings down. You let them be them. And you focus on the only person you can actually change: you. I know that doesn't sound glamorous. We'd rather rewrite everyone else's script than face our own flaws. But the truth is, influence doesn't come from control. It comes from self-control. Think about the people who've impacted your life the most. They didn't manipulate you. They didn't force you. They lived in such a way that their example spoke louder than their words ever could. That's influence. And influence lasts. Control always backfires. So what does letting go of control look like? It looks like not checking your phone every 5 minutes to see if they responded. It looks like not lecturing someone into change when they're not ready. It looks like saying, that's their choice. I don't have to agree, but I don't have to control it either. It looks like choosing your peace over their chaos. And listen, this doesn't mean you stop caring. This doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. Acceptance doesn't equal approval. You can accept that someone is making choices you don't agree with without approving of it. You can set boundaries. You can say no. You can walk away. In fact, sometimes the most powerful way to release control is to step back and let natural consequences do the teaching. Life is a better teacher than you'll ever be. You might think, but if I don't control them, they'll never change. Let me challenge that. Do people really change because someone forced them? Or do they change when they finally want to? When the pain of staying the same becomes heavier than the fear of changing? That's when transformation happens. Not when you push them, but when they decide for themselves. So give them that space. Give them the dignity of their own choices. Stop holding their life like it's your responsibility. It's not. It never was. The only responsibility you have is to yourself, to live aligned with your values, to show up as the best version of you, to set boundaries that protect your heart and your peace. Imagine the weight that lifts off your shoulders when you finally say, it's not my job to fix them. It's not my role to control them. I am free. That's where peace lives. That's where you find strength. And ironically, that's where your influence grows. Because when you stop trying to change people, they notice. They see that calm, that roundedness, that strength. And some of them, not all, but some will be inspired by it. They'll realize, if they can live like that, maybe I can too. So today, let go of control. Stop playing God in someone else's story. Stop scripting their lines. Live your life. Protect your peace. Led by example. Accept that you cannot control them, and you'll discover the most powerful truth you never needed to. One of the hardest things you will ever accept about people is that they will not see the world the way you see it. They don't think the way you think. They don't feel the way you feel, and they don't process life through the same lens you do. And that's not because they're wrong and you're right. It's because they are not you. Every person walking this earth has their own story, their own wiring, their own set of experiences that shape how they look at life. And when you expect them to mirror your exact perspective, you're setting yourself up for constant disappointment. Think about it. Have you ever been in a conversation where you thought the answer was so clear, so obvious, that you couldn't understand how the other person didn't get it? You explain it again, you rephrase it, you try to make it simple, and still they just don't see it. And in that moment, frustration builds. You start thinking, why don't they understand? Why can't they just see it my way? But what if they can't? What if it's not a matter of intelligence, but perspective? We're all carrying different maps of reality. Imagine two people staring at the same painting. One is standing up close, so close they can only see the brush strokes. The other is standing 10 feet back, seeing the whole picture. Both are looking at the same painting, but they're describing different things. Who's wrong? Neither. They're just standing in different places. That's how life works. When you accept that people will see life differently than you give yourself permission to stop arguing with reality. You stop wasting energy on trying to drag people into your viewpoint. Instead, you start listening. You start asking questions. You start saying, okay, I see how you see it, even if I don't agree. And that shift, it changes everything. It doesn't mean you abandon your values. It doesn't mean you silence your voice. It means you grow enough to understand that your way isn't the only way. Maturity is the ability to hold two truths at once. I can believe what I believe, and you can believe what you believe, and we don't have to destroy each other in the process. That's emotional intelligence. That's strength. Weakness is when we get so defensive, so threatened by a different perspective, that we lash out or shut down. Strength is when we say, I don't have to agree, but I can respect. And listen, this acceptance will save your relationships. It will save your peace. Because here's the reality, you are not going to change everyone's mind. You can't force them to see life through your lens. Some people will always misunderstand you. Some will always see you differently than you see yourself. If your peace depends on everyone else lining up with your perspective, you will live exhausted and bitter. But if your peace depends on your ability to accept differences, you will live free. The truth is, sometimes their perspective might even teach you something. Sometimes, by listening instead of fighting, you might see an angle you missed. That doesn't make you weak, that makes you wise. Only insecure people need constant agreement to feel secure. Confident people can handle disagreement without losing themselves. So stop trying to convert everyone into your way of thinking. Stop needing everyone to validate your choices. Let people see life their way, and you keep walking yours. If your path is strong, if your values are rooted deep, you don't need universal agreement to keep moving forward. At the end of the day, peace doesn't come from everyone thinking alike. Peace comes from knowing who you are, standing firm in that, and allowing others the freedom to do the same. And when you accept that people will see life differently, you create space for connection without control, for love without conditions, for respect without agreement. And that, right there, is how relationships last. One of the deepest traps we fall into is taking the actions of others as a mirror of our worth. Someone ignores you and you think, what's wrong with me? Someone betrays you and you ask, why wasn't I enough? Someone disrespects you and you feel, maybe I deserved it. We are so quick to internalize other people's choices as if they are proof of our value. But here's the truth you need to accept. Their actions reflect them, not you. If a person lies to you, that says more about their relationship with honesty than it does about your worthiness of truth. If someone cheats, that speaks to their lack of integrity, not your lack of value. If they gossip about you, that reveals their character, not your identity. And yet, we hold these actions like scars on our soul. We replay them, we question ourselves, we wonder if we could have prevented it. But their actions are not a report card on you. They are a report card on them. Think about this. If a stranger on the street yelled something insulting at you, you'd probably shrug it off. Why? Because you know they don't know you. Their words are a reflection of their own anger, their own frustration, their own story. But when it's someone close to you, someone you love, someone you trust, it cuts deeper. Suddenly, their behavior feels like a reflection of your value. But the principle is the same. Whether it's a stranger or a friend, their choices flow out of who they are, not who you are. When you truly accept this, you set yourself free from the prison of personalizing everything. Not every no means you're unworthy. Not every rejection means you're unlovable. Not every cold shoulder means you did something wrong. Sometimes it's not about you at all. Sometimes people act out of their wounds, their fears, their insecurities. And you just happen to be in the blast radius. That doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Of course it does. You're human. You feel it. But there's a difference between feeling the sting of someone's action and carrying it like proof of your inadequacy. One is pain. The other is bondage. And you don't have to live in bondage. Here's a truth that will save your peace. You are not responsible for how someone chooses to treat you. You are responsible for how long you allow it. Their disrespect doesn't make you small. Your silence in the face of it might. Their betrayal doesn't define your worth. Your decision to keep tolerating it might. That's the shift. You can't control their actions, but you can always control your response. So what do you do when someone's actions hurt you? First, you remind yourself, it's not about me, it's about them. You separate your identity from their behavior. Second, you decide what boundaries need to be put in place. Because acceptance isn't passive. Accepting that their actions reflect them doesn't mean excusing it. It doesn't mean letting it slide. It means you stop internalizing it and you start acting from strength instead of insecurity. When you stop taking it personally, you stop reacting out of desperation. You don't beg for their respect. You don't chase after their approval. You don't shrink yourself to earn their love. You stand tall. You say, this is who I am. This is what I will and won't allow. If you choose to act otherwise, that's on you, not me. That is real power. And you know what happens when you live this way? You stop being manipulated by guilt trips. You stop bending under the weight of people's moods. You stop living in the shadow of their dysfunction. You rise. You carry yourself with a quiet confidence that says, I know who I am, and I will not let your actions rewrite my story. Look back at your life. The times you've been hurt, the times you've been let down, you've been abandoned, didn't those moments reveal more about who they were than about who you are? The person who left couldn't give what they didn't have. The person who lied couldn't speak a truth they hadn't learned to live. The person who belittled you was only echoing the voice they live with every day. Their actions reflect their capacity, their character, their wounds, not your worth. So stop carrying their choices as your identity. Stop replaying what they did like it's a definition of you. You are not the sum of how people treat you. You are the sum of how you rise after they do. Your worth is constant, regardless of who failed to see it. Your value is intact, regardless of who refused to honor it. The freedom you're looking for begins the moment you stop making their behavior about you. You can look at it. You can call it what it is. You can grieve the loss. You can set the boundary, but you no longer let it write your narrative. You reclaim your story. So here's the truth: their actions reflect them. Their anger shows their lack of peace. Their disrespect shows their lack of maturity. Their dishonesty shows their lack of courage. That's their reflection. Don't let it stain yours. You are not defined by what they do. You are defined by how you choose to respond. And the most powerful response you can have is to live free. Free from the chains of personalizing, free from the lies of not enough, free from the need to prove your worth to people who are too blind to see it. You already have value. You already are enough. And nothing they do can change that. So today, accept it once and for all. Their actions reflect them, not you. And when you live with that truth, you'll walk lighter, you'll breathe deeper, and you'll never again hand over your identity to someone else's behavior.